Alright, welcome to Jeff's Tech Bench. So today what we're going to do is take a look at a PC build I did for a buddy of mine. I am going to go through and list off all of the hardware that we used during the build. I'll list it all off and then I'll provide links through or via Amazon. So if you find yourself looking for hardware, any of the hardware in this build specifically, or you find yourself shopping on Amazon in general, please feel free to use those links. It is greatly appreciated and it really helps out the channel. So let's go ahead and get started taking a look at this build. We are going to go ahead and start off with the CPU. We're going to start off with the brains of the operation here. So what we've got here is the Ryzen 7 1700 processor. It's coming in just under $300 at $296 with free shipping on Amazon, which is a very, very good deal. And then it also has its little Wraith cooler, which is a pretty good cooler for a standard cooler that comes with the CPU. So you can't really beat that. It is an AM4 socket, and that means we're gonna go ahead and move on here, that we are gonna pick up an Asus Prime B350 AMD Ryzen AM4 motherboard. This supports DDR4 up to, I believe, 2666 megahertz. And this comes in right at $99 and has that all-important M.2 slot, which is going to help us out quite a bit. We opted with the B350 over the X370 because the B350, well, we're not going to do SLI or anything like that, and it's going to be more than enough for what we need. Next, we have Corsair Vengeance LPX, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 2666 megahertz memory. We ended up picking up 32 gigs of this at $125 per 16 gigs. That was $250, just a little bit over, not too shabby. Memory prices are a little bit high right now, but yeah, it is what it is. Next, for our M.2 slot, we picked up the NVMe 250 gigabyte Samsung 960 EVO. This is a fantastic M.2. It is coming in at a $147. I thought it was a little bit more than that, but apparently not. $147, can't really beat that. And free shipping, of course, on most of the stuff. So there you have it. That is our storage. We also have an MSI VGA graphics card, the RX 580 8GB Gaming X. Now, at this point in time, you all probably know finding a 580 is basically impossible. And if you are lucky enough to find one, well, it's going to be about $600. This at the time, I believe, was $299 or yeah, $299. Don't buy one now unless you know somebody who knows somebody who can get them incredibly cheap, because right now paying $500 or $600 for one of these is a ripoff. So of course, because of the cryptocurrency mining, these things have skyrocketed and they're basically impossible to find. But at the time, which was only about a month ago, we were able to pick one of these up for $299. And yeah, it's a fantastic deal. It's got FreeSync capabilities, so that is going to be a big help in a moment, which you will see. Next, NZXT S340 mid-tower case. We actually didn't get the glossy black, we got the glossy white, or just white. This is a fantastic case to build in. It has plenty of expansion slots, 2 USB 3.0 ports, and an audio mic, which isn't too shabby. The big thing I did like about it was how much space it had behind the case for cable management. Made it very, very easy to route cables on it, and basically have a pretty clean install. Next, we have our EVGA Supernova 550 watt 80 plus gold fully modular power supply. This is a fantastic power supply for the money. $79, can't really beat it. And it's more than enough for this particular machine. And of course, it's EVGA, which is just good quality as is. Finally, back to that discussion on the RX 580 and FreeSync, we have a ViewSonic VX2757 MDH 27-inch 1080p FreeSync monitor. This is a fantastic deal at $187. It has, I believe, 75 megahertz refresh rate. Let me double check that. Yeah, there it is, 75 hertz. Sorry about that. So yeah, 75 hertz refresh rate. It's 1080p, FreeSync enabled, fantastic 27-inch monitor for under $200. That is a good deal. So let's go ahead and move on to the computer build. As I mentioned earlier, the NZXT S340 is a fantastic case. I already mounted 2 aftermarket fans into the front, and then it comes with those 2 fans in the rear, one on the top and one in the back. So I'm just double checking everything real quick. You'll see there it's quite an open case. There is plenty of space for me to route any wires and things like that, so that'll make it really easy. And installing the motherboard as well was a very, very simple process. It has a little pin right in the center that kind of grabs onto the motherboard, so you just get your screws and there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. One of the things you always have to be thinking about is, I mean, at this point, we're not really messing with them yet, but cable management. So look at where, cables are going to be connecting up to the motherboard and see where there's grommets and things like that you can route them through. So at this point, I'm kind of looking around, making sure everything's screwed in, but at the same time, I'm seeing where everything on the motherboard is. Things like high definition audio or USB 3.0, anything that you're going to be needing to route those cables for, you want to definitely keep an eye out for where the connectors are. So here we're putting in that aftermarket CPU cooler from AMD, which, as I mentioned before, it's a fantastic CPU cooler. I was really surprised with how cool it ended up keeping the CPU. We didn't get a lot of time to do much in terms of benchmarking, but we did notice that CPU temperatures were incredibly cool on this machine just with this little aftermarket CPU cooler. So hats off to AMD, because that is a fantastic little cooler. Right here I am throwing in all of the memory. We got 32 gigs of the Corsair Vengeance. So we go ahead and toss that in real quick right here. And then of course I still do need to connect up the CPU cooler, but I wait a little bit on that. We have one cable for the that actually plugs into the motherboard where the CPU fan goes, and then there is another cable for the LED, which you guys will see. So here I'm putting in the M.2, and this is going to, as I mentioned before, it is going to house our operating system. So that will make for incredibly quick boot times, and all around OS functionality will be quite fast. So what I'm doing here is preparing to put in the RX 580. The video card is rather large, but honestly it is nothing compared to the size of this case. You can see here that easily could have had an additional 3-fan video card in here, like a 1080 Ti or something with 3 fans, and would have fit no problem. So again, working inside this case is fantastic. Mind my mistake here, I accidentally took off one of the PCIe covers that I wasn't supposed to, the top one, and you're actually supposed to do the second 2 in order to fit in the RX 580. So we finally got the RX 580 in. We're gonna go ahead and mount it up, screw it in. It's a pretty heavy card, pretty big card, but didn't have too much in terms of sag, and overall it was a very, very nice install and a nice fit. As you can see here, we are now getting ready to install that EVGA 550 watt power supply. Pretty straightforward, simple install. Just slide it on in. One thing I would have done differently is I would have attached the cables that I needed, because it is a fully modular power supply. I slid it in there. There was no cables attached to it. So later on, when I end up doing some cable management, some routing, and needing to hook up all of the wires and things through the power supply, it's a little bit of a tight fit right under there where you can see right to the right of those hard drives that I'm installing. Yeah, that made it a little bit difficult. So next time, definitely plug in those wires first, then slide it on in, makes it easier. It's not impossible, it just would have made it a whole lot easier. Here you can see I did have a couple 2 terabyte hard drives that I had. They're a little bit older, so I didn't really include them in the hardware guide or the hardware list for this PC. I ended up getting them for free from someone I know, and so I just threw them in the build as well, just to give them a little bit of extra hard drive space. So what did you guys think of the build? This was my first Ryzen build. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's definitely easy to work inside of that case, and turned out pretty decent. It was something that we did over the weekend. My buddy and I got him a computer up and running really quick, and it was quite a joy. So let me know what you guys think. If you are going to be shopping on Amazon, or if you are going to be shopping for any of this hardware, please remember, use the links below. It really helps me out. Also, if you feel inclined, please head on over to our Patreon page and become a backer. We really appreciate it. It helps out the channel a great deal, and it's going to help us continue to purchase more hardware and create more of these videos. We'll also be doing some review videos and things along those lines for specific hardware and stuff like that that will be coming in the near future. So thank you all so much for tuning in. If you liked the video, make sure to smash the like button, and if you want to see more like it, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Have a great day. Bye bye.